Hello, welcome to the video. I spend a lot of my free time just idly browsing Facebook Marketplace looking for good deals, weird computers, and whatever else I can find. Today, I found all of that. I found, for $15, this motherboard, CPU, and RAM combo. Supposedly it has 12 gigs of RAM, an unknown CPU, looks like socket 1366 though, which is interesting. And after a little bit of investigation, I think this is the motherboard out of an HP Z400 workstation, which means it supports SLI, it has a proprietary power supply, got an adapter for it, and it can use 6-core 12-thread CPUs. So right now, I just want to see if it works. For 15 bucks, if it works, this is a steal. And if it works, I have a very, very cool idea for what to do with it. So, since it's already kind of together, I suppose let's grab a monitor, a sacrificial video card, and see what happens. Okay, so here's the motherboard. I've got a, I think this is a, ATI X300. It's nothing special, but it'll get the job done. I know it works. Power supply. Here we go. This should work. Now, of course, the 4-pin connector is way over here. Not exactly a very great spot for one. Other one. I really hate these proprietary motherboards. They use the ATX connector, but in their infinite wisdom, they decide that they don't want anyone to be able to upgrade their power supply unless they buy it through them. So they just swap a couple of pins around. Luckily, in this particular case, I don't think, I have to put something under here, I don't think that it would fry itself if you plugged in the wrong power supply. Pretty sure it would just not run. Okay, so that should keep the graphics card from popping up. Oh. Ourselves a monitor here. VGA. I need a power cable. And let's go ahead and get a key. It looks like it's already turned on. Keyboard here. Hey, it works. Looks like the CMOS battery's bad. Not unexpected. Let's see if we can get into the BIOS. Memory 18 gigabytes? Oh, I know what it is. I bet you there's 3 4-gigabyte sticks and 3 2-gigabyte sticks. Well, that's already worth 15 bucks. Assuming it works. Gotta get a new battery. Wireless posts. Oh, wait, no, I need to get into the BIOS. I need to press, and HP's F10. Hello? We'll see if it works. It worked, okay. Where are my batteries? Here we go. I really wish this cough would go away. It's been like 2 months. So I'll take care of that in a moment. Information. Processor type W3565. Is that a 6-core? Let's see. Is that a 6-core CPU? I'm going to use my wife's computer. 3565. 4 cores, 8 threads. Not crazy, but I mean, I'll take it. Happy with this. 18 gigs of RAM, still kind of a weird number, but that's just what you get when you've got a triple channel. Okay, so without much fanfare, I mean, it just works. So, okay, let me grab the case I've got in mind for this, and we'll discuss the idea I have for this PC. Actually, no. First, let's try one other thing. Where's my box of CPUs? Because I think that this board should be compatible with the X series. The 5650 is what I'm looking for. X5650. So let's get this flat down here. Take this cooler off. Now this is HP, which means I either have to use a Torx bit or a flathead. But we're just going to go ahead with flathead. Even if the X5650 ends up not working, this still needs to come off so we can replace the thermal paste. The heck was that? Anyway. This was a good deal. I'm also really glad that power supply adapter worked. I was not super confident in that working. HP is not super known for... Is this ever going to come off? Or is this just glued on by the ancient thermal paste? That's a very, very big likelihood there. Maybe if I just... No, it's still... Okay, I need this out of here. What is going on here? Why can I not get this off? Oh! What? That's one way to secure your cooler. Okay. I might have to see if I have a back plate for this because I don't like that. Oh, they used that really cheap, gross stuff. Okay. So these are like finger render 5000s. Great. Just what I wanted. Disgusting goop. But that's okay. Again, still super happy about this, even with that less than excellent retention. It wasn't even making full contact. That's okay. I actually have some 1366 backplates, I think. So, no big deal. Okay. Let's get this out of here. We may end up reusing that, so I do care about keeping it goop free. X5650. Get in there. Okay. We're just gonna see if it even posts. So it doesn't matter if everything's proper. We're only gonna have it on for a few seconds. Is this one? Yes. Okay, there it is. And let's see what happens. Weird that it automatically turns on like that, but you know, it is what it is. Oh. Yep. I'm not always the smartest person. Keep this kind of pressed down a little bit. It would be nice if this works. That would get us 2 extra cores and 4 extra threads. Hey, at 10. Yeah, it's not liking the heat. We're just, you know what? It's gonna take a while for us to get into the BIOS. It works though. It works. So let me go hunt. Ouch. Hurt my arm the other day. Let me go hunt off camera real quick and see if I can find a proper backplate for this. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got this backplate. It will not work with this cooler, but I have another cooler we can use. First, however, I need to pull this up again and see if it'll work. No, that does not look like it will. I see why they did what they did. I guess we're stuck with that cooler. So, let me... God, I made a mess of this place, didn't I? Put that in my collection. Get this out of here. Where did I put this again? Aha. Oh. Now, we can go ahead and reattach that cooler. Some thermal paste gooped on here. This is a terrible method of putting this on, but like I said, I can see why they did it. I might just opt for some washers and a nut later. Get this replaced, 'cause that's terrible. I might have a different socket retention mechanism as well in my collection. I could try just replacing the whole socket, which would get rid of this protrusion, which would let me use the universal backplate. But for now, the finger slicers will work. Ouch. Ow. Yeah? So that's not optimal, but it'll have to do. We're just gonna try our best. I'm holding the cutoffs, ouch, on the back here to try and keep them from spinning as I tighten these. That's just such a terrible, I mean, they literally just cut this out of the HP case. Wow, that's janky. So let me move this power supply out of the way. This put back on here. Let's replace this battery while it's on my mind. Get out of the package. Get out of there. There we go. And we're not, of course, going to use this in the final build. What we are going to do... Oh man, they've even got a... What? Yeah, they've got a proprietary CPU fan connector. I couldn't have used the other cooler if I wanted. So, here's my plan. Why are all these cases so heavy? Got this nice old Silverstone case. I love these. They even had some rack ears. Wow, it's pretty dirty though. Let's just do this real quick. Blech. Dirtier than I thought it was. Okay, so the HP Z400 motherboard is super proprietary. It uses custom pretty much everything, so I will not be able to hook up the front USB on this case, which does kind of suck, but it is what it is. Let's get this in here. There's a lot of cables. Get out of the way here. Oh, come on. Picked a hell of a case, didn't I? Okay. Now I just need to... Yep, that would have been a short. So this is not going to work. That one will. I think the rest are fine. Okay. I had a Supermicro in here last time that I used for this case. I love Supermicro motherboards. Those are amazing. Now, where are my spare screws? I had some friends over, and of course, they moved everything. And by I had some friends over, I mean my wife invited some friends over. And, well, maybe I put those there. Doesn't really matter. Need a screwdriver with a magnetic tip. This'll do. Let me get this over here and get you a better camera angle. Okay. Let's get this secured. I'm running out of coarse thread screws. I hope that these are fine thread. Let's test. Get out of my hair. Yep, they're fine thread. Perfect. So let's grab a few of those. One. Perfect. Two. Looks like I didn't put a standoff there. So moving on to 3. These are just barely finger tight. I'm not actually going to tighten them all the way down just yet. 4, 5. So number 6 is hidden under the optical drive bays, and I'm too lazy to get to it, so it's not getting plugged in. Or not getting screwed in, rather. And 7. Okay, so this is the last one that we're screwing in. Now I can tighten the rest. Not super hard. We don't want to strip anything. And that's that. Now I need to take some of these out and rearrange them. And you'll see why in just a moment. I think this one can go here. Yep. Get this screwed back in. Now, check this. Oh! Tripped on the tripod. Let's get you repositioned. Check this out. Quadro FX 4800. Quadro FX 4800. We're going to have 2 in here. In SLI. Now, first of all, am I going to have to take this out? For the first one, no. But for the second one, yes. So I need to take this drive cage out, and it looks like it's just 2 screws. At least I hope it's just 2 screws. 1, 2. Oh, it's got a built-in fan. Oh, that's nice. Oh, the other one does too. That is very cool. Now, will we have room? We will just be able to install that. Okay. So I'm going to plug in some of the fans. No, I'm not. That's proprietary. What the heck? You're kidding me. You know what? I don't think that's actually proprietary pinout. I think it just has an extra wide clip on it. My wife's computer just randomly woke up. That happens sometimes. I'm just gonna get that out of the way. It's one plugged in. This board does not have a lot of fan headers. In fact, it only has 2 other than the CPU. So what do I do now? Got 3 more to do. Let me see if I have a splitter cable. I will be right back. I couldn't find a splitter cable that is of the type I'm looking for, where you take one fan header and split it out to a bunch. So I scavenged this out of that Dell that I built in the last video. Let's get all of the fans hooked up to that. That means this will probably be a slightly loud system, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and get a power supply installed next. Now I can't use that test power supply. It's not beefy enough. Get out of there. Okay. I do need this adapter. So let's get this adapter plugged in first, just to make it easy on us. I'm going to bend this a little bit, just because this is a very unfortunate spot to have to work in. Get in there. I think. Yeah, that's in. Okay. This case is designed for you to do all the work and then put the cages in. We are doing it in a different different way. Also, this front panel connector is also proprietary, but I found I think it's an old Vogons thread that someone had taken this motherboard out of their system and figured out what all the pinouts were. I will link that in the description below. Where's my power supply? There it is. This I got on eBay. I think I paid 30 bucks for it. And as long as it is what they said it was, 600 watts of beef. So we're gonna go ahead and get this slotted in here. Get it nice and secure. Then I'll feel comfortable with getting the graphics cards plugged in. Now we are, in fact, going to be running Windows 10 on this machine because I have a little bit of an idea. This would have been an absolutely kick-ass machine back in the day. Like, this would have been a Halo machine. If I can get this screw to line up, what the heck? There we go. So these FX 4800s, I believe they perform pretty similar to a GTX 275, but with double the VRAM. These have 1.5 gigabytes of VRAM each. So this, again, it would have been an absolute monster of a PC. So, as this is definitely a workstation build, we are going to run Windows 10 on it and drag race it against my current video editing PC, just to see how far things have come. So, get all this crap out of here. First, the 24 pin. I believe the scientific term is doink. You know, I didn't check to see if this has 2 6 pins. Does it have? That'll work. It'll work for what we're doing, at least. Now the 4 pin, well, it's just going to have to rise over the top of the graphics cards. So at this point, I might as well get those installed. One. There it is. 2. This is already a very sexy looking PC. Is that all the way in? No, something's up. Why is that not seating correctly? What is going on here? What? Oh, the bracket's bent. What am I going to do about that? I need a wrench. Well, maybe I can... No. Maybe that'll work. Let's try it. Nope. Try that. Maybe. The PCIe bracket is bent. That's all. There we... Damn it. Well, maybe I can just... There we go. Okay. Good enough. Let's get this secured. One of these is going to be so much hotter than the other. Oh my god. And without that drive cage there, we're not going to have an intake fan there. So this is going to be a very hot PC. My goodness. Okay, we still have access to the SATA ports. I've covered up the front panel connector, but this PC seems to just turn on when the power is applied, so we're gonna ignore that until it becomes a problem. We can't do USB, so this is just gonna get coiled up and forgotten here, or front USB. Get in there. Get our PCI power done. 1. Try that again. 1. And for the record, you do not want to do this. You do not want to chain one cable to 2 cards. It'll work fine for our uses, but this is not best practice. That is a no-no. We don't do that here. So, yeah. Tuck that there. Not a lot of cable management to be done in this chassis, I see. Do I even want to properly mount a hard drive? I think I'm gonna have to. Oh, I'm gonna have to find a hard drive. You know what? I will be right back. We're going to play risky today. I've got this old Colossus drive. This is an SSD that is the size of a full-size hard drive. And this is 500 gigs. But 2008, it is the year that most of this would have come out. Well, this actually came out a little afterwards, the CPU and all that. We're looking around 2009. So this absolutely would have been something someone might have put in a crazy expensive build like this. Can I get this in here, though, is the real question. Looks like yes. Maybe yes. Almost. Yes. Okay. That saves me a lot of time. Well, it saves me a slight amount of time. And since it's not spinning rust, we're just going to put one screw in it and call it kosher. If I can even get the screw to go in. Okay. Oh, there we go. What is the big deal here? I see. Oh, come on. Just a couple threads is all I need. Okay. God, it probably would have been easier just to take that out. Okay, so that's good. That's good enough. This is going to be our routing. These are going to just get stuffed underneath as best as they can be. And this one will do our SSD power. Get in there. And the fan power. This is just the worst cable management nightmare. Do I have a zip tie? No, but I've got a bread tie. This will work. Just need it out of the way. Now, to get these to work together, I need a SLI bridge. Ugh. And I think that's actually in... Oop. I always kick that tripod. Here we go. I'd like it if it was a closer one, but... Oh! I still think it'll work. It's just gonna look stupid. Yeah. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So I need a DVI to VGA adapter, and we can see if this thing powers on. I'm pretty sure these two cards work. I don't know about that SSD, and I haven't tested this hard drive either. That SSD doesn't work. I can use this 80 gig Intel. Not a big deal. Where's... There we go. DVI to VGA. And I think we'll put it in the top card. Now, come here. Let's see, number one, how loud this thing is. Well, no. Number one, if it works. Number two, how loud it is. And... okay, so it does still automatically turn on. That means that I didn't plug in the SATA data cable for the SSD. That's... I'm not very smart sometimes. Well, I mean, clearly it works. At least it works enough. Now, what have I done? Oh, this is just... You know what? No. We're going to take this whole cage out for a second. I should have done that to begin with, but I am impatient. So, what can you do? Yeah, that was really easy. I should have done that to begin with. And we'll get this plugged in here to SATA 0. And that's it. Just right back in place. Why didn't I do that to begin with? Because I'm lazy. Okay. And this screw that definitely went to something else. This case has clearly been used many times. When I got this case, it had a what was it? A socket 939 system? Whatever the very first socket that supported the Phenom CPUs. I don't know. Oh, still have to plug it into the SSD itself. Stop fighting me. Get in there. And now I can just stuff all these cords back underneath. Get down. Okay. Keyboard. Where'd my keyboard go? Where did my keyboard go? Oh, here it is. What time is it? Huh. Tapped the keyboard on my wife's PC and it went to sleep instead of waking up. Odd. Okay, 2:34. I've got some time left. Keyboard. It would be awesome if that SSD worked. We're going to adjust the camera a little more. Turn this on. I am going to have to take these graphics cards up at some point to fix that. Well, to plug in the front panel power button, but I am limited in the time that I have today. So, F10 to set up. I like this system so far. It's not even that loud. Sure. You know what? Let me put the panel on this case. Recognizes the SSD. That's one step in the right direction. English X5650. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So, how do I storage? Well, SATA defaults, sure. Options, 8. How do I? Sure. Sure. Those are both true X16 slots. That is very nice. Time and date. This is a really stupid... You know what? We're just gonna... Good enough. Save changes and exit. I just wanted it to stop complaining about the time and date. In fact, let's get my Windows 10 USB thrown in there. F9. It did say Z400. I was correct. Okay. So, due to my lack of time, we're going to just go ahead and take a chance and assume that everything works just fine. Yeah, fans, audio, we can't do anything about those. I might be able to... Okay, that's right. Not UEFI compatible. Which means I'll have to use my Ventoy version, which is slightly slower. That's fine. I have 4 of these black thumb screws left, and this has 4 spots to put thumb screws, so hey, works for me. 9. Ventoy is usually pretty good about booting on systems with non-UEFI. Okay. 1. USB device. VT loading. Perfect. Windows. And I'm going to cut the camera as soon as I see the Windows logo. If we see the Windows logo, because that means, or usually means, that it'll be working from that point on. I should get this fan here. Yep, okay. So we're going to go ahead and get Windows 10 installed, and drivers should be pretty easy to get. And another reason that I'm choosing Windows 10, even though we have these ancient graphics cards from like 2008, is because these are Quadro cards, and NVIDIA provides longer-term support for their Quadro cards. So even though these are from 2008, they still had the latest driver for Windows 10 is from like 2016, so perfectly usable. Anyway, you know what? No, we're gonna wait until we can see the SSD. The thing about those OCZ SSDs is they had a tendency to fail pretty badly. So the reason that they'd fail is it's not one solid SSD. It's actually multiple layered boards. I think they had capacities up to 1 or 2 terabytes, which was gargantuan in 2008. Okay, delete. Yes. Hell, we might have already had Windows 10 on this SSD, but not worth it. Next. So the thing is, the 512 gigabyte version had 2 layers of 256 gigabytes. And they were basically 2 separate SSDs in a hardware RAID 0. So if either of those had an issue, the whole thing was dead. So, yeah. The fact that we're installing does seem to indicate that this SSD does work. So that is amazing. If you wanted to build this machine back in the day, you would probably be looking at a solid like $5,000, I think, because that SSD alone was like $1,000. I don't actually know how much. You know what? I've got a computer right over here. I'll use my wife's PC. Quadro FX 4800. Release price. Oh! Whoo! Okay. Those graphics cards were $2,000 a piece back in the day. So between the SSD and the GPUs, you're looking at $5,000 just in those. 600 watt power supply is newer, but they had 600 watt power supplies back then. They weren't cheap. So this was probably a good maybe pushing $7,000 back then. I'm going to, well, you know what? Let's just see how much an HP Z400 was. HP Z400 release price. Started at $1,000. So, yeah. We're gonna call this a $6,000 PC. And I'm going to cut the camera here. I will be back once Windows 10 is installed and the drivers are installed and we are ready to test. I will, of course, play some games on here, although SLI is not Well, I mean, it's SLI. What more do I have to say? Um, yeah. So, I think. Oh boy, what do I want to do? Hmm. Aiming. Obviously, we want to try a video render. Um. Hmm. Anyway, I'll be back. Taking a moment to insert something here. I didn't realize we were pushing 2 hours for the length of this video. My god. Um, so I think that, again, I always think it's cringy when people ask this, but if you like what you're seeing so far, please go ahead and leave a like. If you want to see more of this, feel free to subscribe. Both of those buttons are right down there below the video. And oh my god, this is so long. I really did not want this to be this long, but I don't want to do a two-parter. I don't want to do it. So, yeah, guess I'll get back to this. Well, a few days have passed since the last time I was recording, and a few things have changed. The first thing is I've discovered, don't need this. This board does not technically support SLI. It does support dual graphics cards, just not SLI. It might work with Crossfire, but that's a big maybe, and quite frankly, I'm not going to bother trying. So, what we're going to do for testing is these two cards together are going to render the same video that we've tested on a few different PCs already. Additionally, I have found out that supposedly this board supports up to 8 gigabyte sticks of DDR3 and supposedly supports ECC. Guess what I have a bunch of? 8 gig sticks of ECC DDR3. Must have like 20 sticks here, give or take. So, we're just going to go ahead and pop the old ones out and see if we can get to the maximum that is supposedly supported, which is 48 gigabytes of RAM. That would be amazing. I have also looked up the prices of all the things that are in this PC. I was wrong on some. The SSD was not $1,000. It was $800. So I was off, but not by that much. Oops. An equivalent motherboard from a different manufacturer would have cost somewhere between $200 and $250. Since this is a workstation board, it doesn't actually have that many features. It's mostly about stability. So, nothing really to write home about there. If we were looking for a feature-rich motherboard, well, those could have been had for $300-400, but we're going to count it as $200. The CPU, this one at least, was $1,000 when it was released. And we have a mostly accurate representation of a late 2008, early 2009 PC. Okay, let's see if that worked. Also, I have spaced the graphics cards out. I'm not using both X16 slots. I'm using the top X8 and the bottom X16 simply so the upper card doesn't cook itself to death. So, I also connected the power button, even though I didn't connect the power cable. Okay, I've also found out that the BIOS does not like to save the settings, even though I've replaced the BIOS battery twice. And both of the batteries I used, I did test, and they have perfectly fine voltage of around 3.3 volts. So, good stuff there. And I know that I usually recommend not just jumping straight for the gold, but we are jumping straight for the gold this time. Going for 48 gigs right off the bat. Why? I forgot. However, we're getting a five blinking lights. I believe that is memory. So we're going to go ahead and pull out some RAM. I also don't know if all these sticks are good, so that is a possibility. We might just have some dead sticks of RAM mixed in here with the good stuff. Kind of hard to work in this case once everything's populated. Oh yeah, that's right. See what we get this time. No, it's still blinking. Okay. Drop it down even further. It may need a BIOS update to get this support. It also might just be too fast of I'm not sure what to do. That didn't work. Okay, so let's get these out. Jumping straight to 48 gigs of ECC is not working. So there is the possibility that it does support ECC and it just doesn't support registered ECC. So, in fact, I'm looking at it now, and it already had non-registered ECC in it. So let me have a quick look around and see if I have any of that just kind of lying around. Well, no luck on that. Main reason I wanted to try the memory upgrade was because another thing I found out about this PC while I was working on it is this 4GB stick is bad, which, to keep the channels matched, dropped us down to two 4GB sticks and two 2GB sticks, so 12 gigs RAM. But you know, that's fine. That's really not that big of a deal. We'll just go ahead and throw that back in here just to get it up and running. I don't know. I've been working on these different videos each weekend, and they take up so much time that I'm not actually all that interested in fighting with this PC on memory, of all things. We know that this... Oh, wrong one. We know that these sticks work. And 12 gigs of RAM, not horrible. We can work on getting it up to its theoretical maximum some other time. Where's the lid? Here it is. But that's okay, because we have a whole bunch of tests to try. First, let's just get into Windows. Because with our... Did I not? I didn't turn the power supply back on. We've got the two Quadro FX 4800s in here right now. If I had a more powerful power supply, we would compare them to these two ATI HD 5870s, 2 gigs. These are really nice cards. Hard to find in working condition, so What we will do, however, if it works, is compare them to this HD 4850X2. This would have been around right about the same time as the FX 4800s, and it supports the exact same APIs. We're talking DirectX 10, not 11. Why'd the screen go black? Why did it reboot? Okay, that's one way to derail my thoughts. Fatal error on... Wait a minute. That's the same slot that... I wonder if it has a bad slot. Wouldn't that be something? Let's go ahead, just move slots. Slot 6 is this one, which is a 2 gig stick. I guess we will see if we get an ECC error on slot 2 now, but we shouldn't. I think we just have a bad slot. So, anyway, so the 4850X2 would be a direct competitor to 2 Quadro FX cards. After that, we're going to go a little bit newer with a GTX 660 Ti. Then we're going to go newer with a 960. And finally, we're going to compare all of those to this dirt cheap Radeon Pro WX 2100. Now we're talking productivity, video editing. Alright, what's going on here? Page fault in unpaged area. Okay. I'll be back once I've figured out what's going on. No montage this time. Don't have time for that. We've got VSync enabled just because the screen tearing was absolutely horrendous. But we are on the absolute highest settings. And I need to find someone to fight. Sure. Texture streaming is excellent on the SSD. We're just under 60 frames per second. Oop. Where is he? Oh, he's over there. Okay. Why can't I shoot? There. I blame the mouse. I'm literally holding... Why can't I shoot? I'll have to squeeze the mouse really hard. I have a terrible mouse. Okay. Well, I'd say that the performance is just fine. We're looking at anywhere from high 30s up to a locked 60, depending on what I'm looking at and how much action is happening. So far, at least. I thought someone was shooting at me from over there. Oh, there we go. Oh! I'm an idiot. It was behind me the whole time. Okay. Well, my skills aside, we're doing pretty good. So let's move on to the next game. So, while Scholar of the First Sin, we're talking Dark Souls 2 here, Scholar of the First Sin was upgraded to use DirectX 11 and they dropped the DirectX 10 and 9 modes. Dark Souls 2 base game does run on just, I believe it's DX9 actually. I hate scrolling through this. In Dark Souls 3, they let you scroll through the terms and conditions a lot faster. So, let's see. There's no way the Dark Souls 2 base game servers are still up. They are. Oh my god. Okay. Sure. Fair enough. I'm not going to complain about that, but that does mean that I technically could get invaded if I continued past the tutorial, which I don't really intend to do. We're just going to see how well it plays. Oh, this is fine. Oh my god, yeah, this is a locked 60. What are my settings at? Options. Do I even have video settings? There we go. Let's just set everything to high. Oh, I have to return to the title screen. Okay. I'm pretty sure this can handle high. The Dark Souls 2, it's honestly a pretty good looking game, but it really doesn't take much to run. This thing will run on a potato. Question is, will it run on this potato at a locked 60? Continue. Things betwixt. Yep. If anyone ever finds me on Steam, don't look up my hours in this game. Oh yeah, we're looking at a locked 60. This is perfect. Yeah. This would have been an amazing experience back in the day. Too bad we couldn't do SLI, not that Dark Souls supported it, but okay. Let's go ahead. And we're not going to do any more games at the moment. We'll save that for later. Let's get on to that video render test. Alright, I'm not busting out the laptop. I am short on time, and I'd really like to get this done sometime this weekend. Especially since there's a new Junkyard Digs video that I want to watch. I do love me a good Pontiac. So, let's go ahead and render as Internet HD, yep. Now first, how do I'll cancel this. How do I make sure we're using the GPUs? Preferences. General video. GPU acceleration of video processing. Not available. That's just processing. That's not for rendering or encoding. Preview display. Yeah, that's not what we want. General, maybe. Use GPU process. Oh, okay. That's color management. Huh. Deprecated features. Allow legacy GPU rendering. Absolutely. For one or more of these changes, the application must be shut down and restarted. Okay. Understandable. Sure. Makes Pro. I'm just glad that this ancient SSD works, to be honest. I was really worried about that. These are well known for their lack of longevity. So, we have legacy GPU rendering enabled. Render as about That's not what I want. Do I have to do anything else? I render options. I think that we're using it. I think we're using the Quadros, but I just don't know for sure. Deprecated features allow legacy GPU rendering. We're just gonna do it. Yeah, Untitled's fine. And I'm not going to break out the laptop like I said. We're not going to use that sort of timer. We're going to just rely on the... Wow, that is really bad. We're looking at... I'm trying to... maybe 3 to 4 frames rendered per second. That's horrible. But you know what? We're just going to go ahead and let this performance... Oh, 11 frames per second. Okay. We're using all of the CPU. That's good. It's not telling me, but you know what? Maybe performance. Oh no, this driver's not going to let Windows see the GPU usage. Just too old. But we're just going to let this cook. We're going to see how long this takes, and we will certainly know if legacy GPU rendering worked or if I need to do more. If we get a different time when I install the, if we don't get a different time when I install the 660 Ti. So, in the meantime, I'm just going to let this do its thing. We'll be back once this is done. Alright, we've canceled it. The estimated time reached over 2 hours, and quite frankly, I do not have that kind of time. So, yeah. Much as I hate to say it, we're going to call this a bust. So we're going to go ahead and close this and try something else, because I also downloaded DaVinci Resolve, but I never actually installed it. Supposedly this has better CUDA rendering, but this is a different program, and the times won't be super comparable to what I've already done on the other PCs with Vegas. Huh. Honestly, this is probably going to be one of those things where I just need an older version of the video programs for this to work. So we might be out of luck on this. If I had more time to prepare and find a very specific workflow like 3D rendering that used CUDA cores, that would be a much better test. And I really wish I had time for it. I genuinely do, but I do not. Let's see. Sure, install all that stuff, I guess. Yeah, I'll be back once this is installed, and once I've figured out how to even use DaVinci Resolve. I'll be back. I'll tell you one thing. I am really struggling to find something that will work with these old cards. DaVinci was a no-go either. It does have CUDA support, but did not recognize our graphics cards. So we're going to skip video rendering altogether for this one at least. Yeah, it turns out that neither of those programs were really... Why did the installer stop? Neither of those programs were really well known for their CUDA support. And I'm just not going to fight with them. So, found this V-Ray benchmark tool, which seems to be crashing. Okay. If it's not one thing, it's another. Let's try. I want Cinebench. We can try PC Mark. Pass Mark performance test. Let's try that. DirectX 9. Download. Windows. What are we at? What's the current version? 11. x86. Well, let's try this. Like I said, if it's not one thing, it's another. Sometimes it's the hardware that gives us issues. Sometimes it's the software. In this case, it's the software. Of course, once we get to the newer cards, we will be able to start running them in the video benchmarking tools, but well, then we couldn't really compare them to these. So I think we're just going to go ahead and use this Passmark performance test. I've used it in the past. I'm not going to say whether or not this is a great benchmarking tool, but at the very least, it should give us a way to compare performance between these cards. So let's just do the whole sure, continue for 30-day evaluation. Yep, run benchmark. Okay, still got what? Well, it recognizes both cards. That's good. Huh. Nice. Very nice. Okay, run benchmark. Yep. Interesting. This has not really changed since I last used it back in like 2014, 2015. So we don't care as much about the CPU mark. It's the 2D and 3D, mostly the 3D. I'm just gonna shut up and let this run. I will call out the test results as they occur, mostly for the people that are listening to the video and not necessarily watching it. Hello. Thanks for stopping by. Also, as an aside, if this were a professional channel, we'd be running this like 5 or 6 times, comparing the performance between them. And I need a piece of paper and a pencil. That's what I need. I remember this 2D graphics test going much faster. I think what I'm going to do is let this first test run the full way. Then I'm just going to show excerpts of the other tests and show the results. Ooh, those are hot. 2D results done, on to 3D. The first DirectX 9 test is not going well at an average of 20 frames per second. I'm pretty sure that these 3D tests only work with one card. Ah, man. I need a proper render test. But I think we're just going to go ahead and settle for this. It's getting late. It should be able to do the DirectX 10 test. Alright, do the test is one thing. Do well on the test is a whole nother thing. Wow. Two frames per second. Oh, almost up to 10. This is not an impressive showing. So here's what I'm going to do. It's going to fail the 11 and 12 tests because the graphics cards do not support them. But we're going to go ahead and once this test is done, I'm going to power off the PC, take the second card out, and we'll see if the performance results change by swapping back to a single GPU. That way we will know if the test actually used both GPUs. I really hope it did. I really hope it did. Because right now, the 2D mark is 16. And the 3D mark is 612. I'm going to write those down. I'm going to let it finish the memory mark. Boy, it is getting late. Yeah, CPU mark was about 5,000, so not horrible. I think. I don't remember. I don't know what how that compares. It is, I am kind of interested in seeing how this SATA 2 SSD works in the performance test. Now remember, SATA 1 is 1.5 gigabits a second, SATA 2 is 3, and SATA 3 is 6 gigabits a second. That's all theoretical. Almost nothing will actually achieve those numbers. I know this is boring to watch, and even worse to listen to, but I want this to be an uninterrupted run for context. On the final test in DiskMark, that's the 4K IOPS. Almost there. Okay, here's what we've got. A total score of 731.8. Write that down. CPU mark 5019. 2D graphics 16.7. 3D graphics 612.2. Memory mark is 1664 with a disk mark of 1862.8. So we are going to let that save. What is this? We're in the 5th percentile, which is terrible. And that's all graphics, baby. All graphics. So I'm going to shut down the PC, take out the second graphics card, and just see how this does on a single one. I'll bring the camera back up at the very tail end. I will only be rerunning the 2D and 3D Mark tests. I will be right back with those results. So I've started the test with a single card, and I'm not really sure, but it feels like it's going faster. Huh. On to the next test. Well, our scores are in, and we've got some very strange behavior. So the 2D didn't change. It went from 16.7 to 17. However, the 3D went from 612 to 818. So the 2D was in the margin of error, but the 3D is not. So I think what was happening is perhaps it wasn't using the second card, and the first card was being bottlenecked by being in an X8 slot. Could be wrong, but we're not gonna really do any further testing on that. I do not have the time. It's already 2 a.m. I'm always running out of time on these PCs. Go figure. But I've got like 4 more graphics cards to get the drivers installed for test games on and test this on. So, plus the Radeon card has sort of on-board, if you will, crossfire. So I shouldn't need to do any messing around. And it might have an advantage just because it probably can use both GPUs. Anyway, I'll be back once I get that new. You know what? No, I'll be back once I know if it works. Also, here's something kind of nifty about this card. 4 DVI. How wacky is that? 4 DVI and a single lonely S-video. Wow. Do we get a video signal? The fan's just turned off. Uh-oh. That's not a good sign. Uh, hmm. This, this 48, wait, what? This 4850X2 may not work. Oh dear. Um, Maybe I'm plugged into the wrong DVI port? I was. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, of course. I'm going to go ahead and get the drivers installed and get all the old stuff kind of wiped off. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is much louder than the other ones. 50. This is great. Although I have no idea if we're using both graphics cards. Windows picked up a default driver, and both cards show up. Man, I really wish there was something right here that I could fight. But maybe if I just start shooting. Yeah, or it seemed to be a locked 50-ish. What are my options? Yeah. Physics, of course, is disabled, but everything else is on high, so yeah. We'll call that good. Let's move on to the performance tests. We know this will run Dark Souls. Well, I've got good news and bad news. The 2D mark is about the same, 16. The 3D mark is 742. That is not quite within test variance, but it is pretty close to the single 4800. If this were a single HD 4850, it would probably do a lot better because, again, it is split, and we've seen what happens when you only get PCIe by 8. I actually have a single 4850, but I am crammed for time, and I can almost guarantee it would perform just about the same as the 4800. You know, within a couple percent, basically, just like this one. So, I think it's time that we move on. And another reason is, I kind of, just to do with the drivers. There are no proper drivers that were ever released for Windows 10 for this card, or for the regular 4850 for that matter. So, I'll be stuck with the basic. I mean, it recognizes both cards, so there is some sort of driver, but it's just not great. So, I think we should move on to the 660 Ti. That'll be a huge jump in performance, even though it's only a couple years newer. I will say, I am mighty pleased that this card works, though. I've been avoiding testing this card specifically because I wasn't sure if it would work. Oh, that feels good. I know the 660 Ti works, though. So, I guess that does go to show that the, get in there, 4850 would have been a fairly comparable workstation card when compared to the Quadro 4800, and they were out on the market at roughly the same time. So I guess there's that. Now, does this one work? Pretty sure it does. Pretty sure it does. And just in case I forgot, I literally am too tired to remember whether or not I said anything. Yeah, this card works. The 4850's scores for 2D was 16 and 3D was 742. Yeah. Let me go ahead and get the drivers installed, and I'll be back. Well, with the 660 Ti in, we can actually start testing some reasonably modern games. I actually accidentally saved at the end of a mission and not before it, so let me... Sure, yeah, whatever. All that stuff. Now let's just... do a random mission here. Do we not have a mission here? We don't! Shit. Where do I have to go for a mission? Sure. That's actually normal. That happens even on pretty beefy PCs. And by that I mean it even happens on my PC, which is not actually that beefy, but it's better than this. So, sure. No, I just want a regular contract. Sure. We'll do this one. Do you and you. Let's see. Well, the prep time is longer than usual, that's for sure. Huh. I just want to see a little bit of gameplay before I start running that benchmark again. Oh god, the paint jobs, I forgot. Oh, this is fine. Yeah, this is fine. This is running great. That was a bit of a hitch right there. But we're still looking at well above 65 frames per second most of the time. I saw 80 for a moment. Maybe down to 55 occasionally. Yeah, this is great. This is fine. Okay. Let's get to that benchmark. Alright. Well, got ourselves a couple of new scores. And they're a little interesting. So, jumping up to the 660 Ti, the 2D mark, which, remember, with the 4800s, whether it was 1 or 2, and the 4850, was right around 16.5. With the 660 Ti, it's 263. The 3D test jumped up from between 750 and 800 with the other two cards up to 1,377. So, not as dramatic of a jump, but still damn near double the performance. And the 660 Ti, isn't that much newer, but still pretty impressive. And it can run some modern games. Now, I want to remind everybody that the purpose of this PC, this build here, was not to build a gaming PC. It was to demonstrate the capabilities of a $7,000 PC from the late 2000s, which we already did, and now we're working our way up the graphics stack until we get to a modern workstation card. Then we're going to benchmark the modern workstation card, and those two are going to be the primary comparisons between each other. And, we are already getting spicy with the scores. I'll be back with the 960. As we fire this up, I did want to point something out. We've actually been, even though we're getting more and more and more powerful with our graphics cards, we have been getting lower and lower and lower with our power usage. So keep that in mind as sort of an extra added bonus when it comes to putting our scores into context. Well, we have achieved even higher numbers this time, as expected. The 2D jumped from 263 up to an even 300, so not a huge increase, but still an increase. The 3D, however, that jumped up from 1,377 all the way up to 5,064. I'm going to chalk that up to DirectX 12 performance, but my goodness. Now it's time to get on to the WX 2100. This is where we're probably going to see a performance decrease, but it's a workstation card. We can use things like AMD VCE for video editing. So keep that in mind. Moving on. I'm hoping it works this time, otherwise my plan might be foiled. Oh, thank goodness. Okay. It froze on the Windows boot screen like twice and then rebooted, so yeah. We're good though. We're good. Yup, I knew that this was going to be a wash, but it outperforms all the other cards when it comes to video rendering when you're using AMD VCE. There's a caveat to that, as I've addressed in some of my previous videos. The AMD drivers have been broken for almost a year and a half. So if you install a modern driver, you can't use AMD VCE. You have to go back like 2 years. But here we go. The amazing WX2100 has a 2D Mark score of 243, which is, well, just barely a little less than the 660 Ti, and a 3D Mark score of 1878. Well, that's a little bit above the 660 Ti, so still certainly a reasonable card, but yeah, the only reason that this exists here is for AMD VCE, which we will be testing here in a moment. But yeah, what is this computer going to end up being? Obviously, it's not going to be a gaming machine. Well, it was supposed to be a, I was going to turn it into a bit of a NAS, someplace I could store my videos. I could put a small graphics card in, put that hard drive cage back in, and just fill it full of hard drives. But unfortunately, this motherboard, well, it's an HP proprietary piece of crap, and I can't use it because anytime I want to fire up the machine, I have to have a keyboard connected, so I can press F1 to skip all the "your fan isn't connected" messages because of the proprietary, well, bullshit that it needs. So, I'm going to have to replace this motherboard if I want to use this for a NAS. And I've also I want to address why I haven't been showing as many games for each of these cards, and the reason is I already have in plenty of other builds. I want this video to be at least reasonably short, so I don't want to spend 10 minutes with each individual video card playing a bunch of games when this is mostly about workstation performance. However, games are still fun. So, we're going to fire up MechWarrior 5 real quick just to see if it runs on this card, because I don't think I've ever tested MechWarrior 5 on this card. Well, even though it gets slightly higher, the 3D marks, this is performing much worse in this game. We're looking at about 40 frames per second, and we haven't even gotten into combat yet. Oh yeah, we dipped into the 20s there. So, yeah, this is a workstation card. Let's go ahead. I mean, you can obviously still play the game, and I would be quite happy with this if it was all I had. But let's get to the real meat and potatoes of this video. I'm going to go ahead and fire up Sony Vegas Pro 18. We're going to use AMD VCE to render a video, and then, since I didn't do it last time, we're going to go back to the Quadro FX 4800 and let it just chug away overnight with the same video and see what the main difference is. Anyway, I will be back. Here we are and ready to render. Now we want to use AMD VCE for this. There we go. I like that option. Now, I originally canceled the first attempt at the 4800 because the estimated time was well in excess of 2 hours. But we are already, let's see, wait for that to average out. Current speed, I'm seeing a couple of instances where it's over 100 FPS compared to like 2. So what's that? 50 times faster? I love VCE. Anyway, I'm going to let this go. What is up with that estimated remaining time of 30 seconds? Oh, there we go. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to let this go. I'm going to estimate that this will take 20 to 25 minutes. And we'll see what happens. Well, the little 35-watt workstation card was able to get this done in just under 20 minutes. 19 minutes and 59 seconds. Now, of course, as we've seen in a few previous videos, it does still take like another 15 to 20 seconds to get to the actual video file being available, but that's still better than my first video editing PC. And pretty decent. I'm going to put the Quadros, I'm going to put one of the Quadros back in because clearly it's not going to use both of them. And we will see how long that takes. I'm going to start it and just let it go overnight because it's already 5:30 in the morning and I can't keep doing this all night. So yes, let's see what I think it's 192 CUDA cores. Let's see what that can do from like 2008. You know, I don't know about this video. The more I work on this PC, the more disappointed I am. I wanted to have two Quadro FX 4800s working together to render a video. but it really seems like I just can't do it. Can't get them to work in games because even though the Z400 was advertised and sold as optioned with multiple graphics cards, it doesn't support SLI. um, yeah, I'm sure there's a way, but I just can't get it to work. I am not sure where to turn from here. Let's get this one started. Render. I think that my best bet is to just grab a different motherboard, something that does have proper SLI capabilities. And I do have one. I do. But it's not a workstation board. It's an old NVIDIA 680i or i680? I don't remember. I think it's a 680i motherboard. It's good, but we're talking LGA 775 here. Core 2 Quad era. I don't know. This video has been kind of a disappointment to make. It hasn't been hard. It's actually been incredibly easy. Drivers for all of these cards have been insanely easy to get. Everything has just worked. But the software, on the other hand, the software support for the hardware is just not there. Let me know down in the comments what you think I should do. What would you do in this situation where your first idea didn't work, your second idea didn't work, the third idea didn't quite work, and what you ended up doing was just half-assedly benchmarking a handful of graphics cards? So, yeah. I'm going to write down the 20-minute time that the WX2100 did. I'm going to go take a nap, see if I can get some sleep, and wow, that's looking like it's not going to be a very great time. Yeah. We're going to get back to this and, oh god, see how long this takes. We're already up to an estimated 50 minutes. What's the performance? Almost 10 frames a second. Well, actually, that just dropped pretty bad. Seeing 8 to 10. Yup. I cannot express how disappointed I am, but what am I gonna do? You know. Anyway, I'll sleep on it. I'll be back. Well, it's the next morning, and I think that it's time to turn this video around. I have not been happy with the direction it's been going. I just have not been able to test pretty much anything that I wanted to test. So as I wake up and eat my breakfast of champions, let's see. Looks like it took 1 hour and 48 minutes compared to 20 minutes. So that is a gargantuan decrease in time. Holy cow. I knew that the new system would be good, but wow. Okay. So, here's what we are gonna do. I'm gonna eat my breakfast. I'm gonna take a ride to the local gas station, if my car will start. It's cold out, it doesn't like to start when it's cold. I'm gonna get an iced tea. A real big one. Then I'm gonna come back, install a couple of additional DirectX 10 games, and then, only then, Well, we have ourselves a little gaming montage, which I didn't think I was going to do this video, and had a little trouble with that. I paid real money for a license to use the music in the last video. Got a copyright claim anyway. It's fixed. It has been fixed. But I just don't like the idea of paying money for something and having that person say, actually, nah. We decided, nah. So, we'll see. I need to get some iced tea and eat this delicious pair of hot dogs. I'll be back. For a price tag of $7,000, it doesn't necessarily mean we have a good gaming PC, or that you could get the best gaming PC. Quadros aren't exactly known for their gaming performance, but I think we'll be alright. Let me get my tea. Tea acquired. Back to the computer. Well, even though the dual graphics cards won't exactly help us in games because we can't do SLI, I assure you this would have been a behemoth of content creation back in the day. Back when CUDA was still supported as a viable method for rendering stuff. This would have been a monster for AutoCAD, all kinds of stuff. We're talking like movie studio level rendering here. Unfortunately, CUDA has been, or seems to have been, mostly dropped in favor of NVIDIA's NVENC and AMD's. Oh, I just used it. Whatever that was, VC something. VMC? I don't remember. But, as I said on the way to the car, just because this was $7,000 back in the day, does not mean it was the greatest gaming machine back in the day. But there's a very good chance that it was. So, let's go ahead and give this a shot, shall we? Got OBS installed. We know that it'll run just fine with this 6-core 12-thread processor. So yeah, I think we will do a montage. Here we go. Well, I think it's pretty safe to say that this would have been an absolute monster of a gaming machine back in the day. After all, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that the actual chip in the FX 4800 is the same as a GTX 275. Could be wrong. I'll have to double check the wiki page, but man, this is a monster. If it had SLI, oh, that would have been a game changer. Would have made a lot of experiences worse, but it would have bumped those numbers. I'm pretty happy with this. Not so happy about not being able to test the productivity, but that is, well, to be quite honest, I'm just not set up for that kind of testing yet. Someday I will be, but not today. In the meantime, I genuinely hope that you enjoyed this, and as cringy as I still think it is, I'm going to ask if you liked the video, please like, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Usually, I dumpster dive PCs. This was one of the rare instances where I paid $15 for something. I know, high baller here. But if you'd like to see behind the scenes and exclusive content, you can check out my Patreon, which is linked below. And I'd like to thank my paid patron members Jarl, Flo Kala, Dr. Larks, and Sean. It really helps me. It really helps to know that people really like what I'm doing, even if it's only. Well, actually, I just surpassed 1,200 subscribers, so I guess it's more than a couple of people, but you know what? It is what it is. I don't even know what to do. I never expected to have this many subscribers. I was surprised when I surpassed 200, let alone 1,200. But here we are. So I hope that I can increase my production values at some point here. But the truth is, I'm just making videos that I like. You know, I'm glad that you guys like it too, but I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a good one.